Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends. It's your buddy Boogeyman Ben here for another episode of Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone, and this is the long-awaited Part 3 to my Exorcist Retrospective series. Yes, I know it has been a long time. I recorded the first two segments back in December of last year. Of course, I aired the second one on Exorcist II: The Heretic at the beginning of this year. That was my first video for 2017, and I had meant to do The Exorcist 3 and, of course, Dominion and The Beginning a lot sooner than I did, but work and other things have gotten in the way, and I'm finally getting around to finishing up this series, which I started several months ago, and I apologize to everyone that's been waiting for this segment to air. But of course today I will be talking about Exorcist 3. Of course, this is the Scream Factory release that I got for Christmas, and I am sporting my Exorcist 3 shirt, which is one of my favorite Fright Rag shirts ever. The Exorcist 3 has been a part of my life for a long time, and it's really, in my opinion, I love this film more than the original. I don't know why. I think it's because I saw it, in the theaters. It was the only Exorcist movie I ever saw in the movie theater, and it just connected to me, and I was a huge fan, and still am, of Brad Dourif. And, the fact that Chucky was going to be in this film, the voice of Chucky, and also, another actor that I really admire is in this film as well, and that is the late actor Ed Flanders. Of course, I knew him from Salem's Lot, and he played Bill Norton in that film, and was so happy to see him in this film as well. But really excited to talk about this film, and so happy to be doing this segment again, and I hope everyone looks forward to this. Please stay tuned. The plot of The Exorcist 3 focuses on Lieutenant Bill Kinderman, who was featured in the original Exorcist film, as well as Father Dyer. Both characters were from the original film. Of course, it takes place many years after the original events of The Exorcist, and it deals with, how those events affected both characters. While this is going on, you also have somebody that is killing around the Georgetown area, and is linked to possibly the Gemini killer, who has been dead for 15 years. You have George C. Scott as Kinderman. You have Ed Flanders as Father Dyer. You have Brad Dourif as the Gemini killer. You have Jason Miller as Patient X. You have Scott Wilson as Dr. Temple. The movie was written by William Peter Blatty, who adapted his novel Legion, and it was also directed by William Peter Blatty. Now, what a lot of people didn't know, and what I actually didn't know, is that there were two cuts of the film. Both are included in this Scream Factory release. So originally the movie was going to be called Legion, because there were no exorcisms performed in the film. William Peter Blatty, of course, made the film based on his novel Legion, which was published in 1983. Morgan Creek decided to call it The Exorcist 3 Legion, even though the screenplay and novel featured no exorcisms whatsoever. So after principal photography had wrapped, the misleading nature of the title was noticed, and the producers determined that additional scenes needed to be written and then added into the film in order to make it more recognizable sequel of The Exorcist. The last third of the film has been entirely redone, with the insertion of a new character, Father Morning, and of an exorcism scene that cost nearly $4 million to do. Because of the demand for the exorcism scene, the producers also wanted an actor from the first film to be part of it. So Jason Miller, who had played Father Karras in the first movie and was unavailable to shoot The Exorcist 3 when principal photography had started, was called in to shoot a few scenes as Patient X. In order to not remove the work that had already been done by Brad Dourif in that role, writer-director William Peter Blatty decided to use footage of both actors. Thus, Jason Miller can be seen as Patient X when he's manifesting the Karras personality, and Brad Dourif can be seen when he's conveying the Gemini killer personality. And what's really interesting is when you watch Legion, Jason Miller's not in it, so Brad Dourif is referenced as Father Karras in like pictures and things like that, which is a little strange at first because I'm so used to the theatrical version. But I thought it was important to note that here. And before talking about the film, I wanted to pay a tribute to William Peter Blatty, who did pass away on January 12th of this year, before I got a chance to do this segment. He was a fantastic writer, fantastic director, and I cannot say enough great things about the man, and it really saddens me that he's no longer with us. And this film is just fantastic. Like I said, initially I was going to do two segments. I was going to do one on Exorcist Legion, and then one on Exorcist 3, the theatrical release. But I thought I'd just combine them both into this one video because I am going to be doing two separate releases, or two separate videos for the fourth Exorcist film because it was shot as two separate films and they're completely different directors. So I did watch them, and again, just to showcase this a little bit, there is two versions of the film. So you have the theatrical cut right here, and then the director's cut right here. And I did watch both of them over the Christmas break, and I do remember both films very well. I do have to say that I do prefer the theatrical cut of the film. I think the acting in this, though, is fantastic. That's the first thing I want to get out of the way is I love George C. Scott in this film as Kinderman. Of course, Lee J. Cobb had played the part in the original Exorcist, but he had passed on, so he could not reprise the role. But I think George C. Scott has a flavor that's very different from Lee J. Cobb, but he also there are moments where you do see a little bit of an homage to that actor and the way that character was portrayed in the original Exorcist. But I love George C. Scott in this film. I love the softer moments with him. There's a few scenes where he's crying. He's a very big, imposing man, and those scenes really are heartbreaking when you see them in the context of the film. Also, cannot say enough great things about the late Ed Flanders, who, like I said, was a huge fan of him from Salem's Lot. And what's sad to me is that he committed suicide in 1995. Apparently, he had a long history of alcohol abuse, but I love him in this film, and he's in this film for a very short amount of time. That's one thing I loved about Legion, is that there's a little bit more of that character in this film. And Ed Flanders is just such an amazing actor. He's one of those actors that you can just watch in anything, and he's just such a commanding presence in every film that he's been in, and I love him in this film so much. Jason Miller, of course, was added after principal photography had wrapped. And what I found out in one of the special features on the scene is that there's a couple of parts where Jason Miller was given this demonic makeup to look possessed in the scenes with George C. Scott in the cell, and it wasn't him. It was a stand-in who was they put this makeup on him, and I never knew that it wasn't Jason Miller, but that was crazy to find that out in this documentary. But he does a great job. I love that character, and I love the actor from the original Exorcist, so it was nice to see him in here. He doesn't do a tremendous amount of work in it because, again, he was brought in kind of at the last minute to sort of wrap around the exorcism scene that wasn't done during principal photography. But Brad Dourif, I mean, as the Gemini killer, is just so imposing, and I cannot say enough great things about Brad Dourif. I've been a fan of him since I saw the movie Fatal Beauty, which was a film directed by Tom Holland, and also, of course, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where he played Billy, and I loved him in that film. One of the film where he got an Oscar nomination for that, and then of course as Chucky, the demonic killer. Charles Lee Ray, I just love Brad Dourif and hope to meet him someday, but he's amazing in this film, and wow, does he just grab a hold of you in every scene that he's in and just pull you in, just with his intensity and he's in a straitjacket the whole time, and it's just his voice and his mannerisms, facial expressions, and the way he's speaking to Kinderman in the scenes, terrifying, and just amazing work. William Peter Blatty did a tremendous job directing this film, and not only the thing that I love about it is that, but it doesn't feel like it's trying to be the Exorcist sequel. It's trying to almost say, here's these characters after this horrific thing that happened almost 2 decades ago. Here's where they are now in a very realistic way. There's also just some very scary moments in this film, and they're done so subtly, and it's done through dialogue and very little gore and dream sequences that are very disturbing, and the shot that everybody remembers is the one in the hallway with the nurse. I remember jumping out of my chair in the movie theater with my friend when we saw this in the movies, summer of 1990. Again, it has such a special place in my heart, and I am so glad that people are starting to recognize this film, which I still feel like, as much as I love the original Exorcist, this is my favorite of the franchise. I absolutely love The Exorcist 3. To compare it to Legion, again, for me, now that I've seen the theatrical cut, I think if I had seen them, if they had released the director's cut of the film, which was called Legion, in theaters, and I had seen that before I had seen the theatrical cut, I probably would have liked Legion better. But seeing what, I grew up on this film, and I think the theatrical cut is better. One thing I think is better is, even though it wasn't supposed to have a exorcism scene in the film originally, when it wasn't there and I'm watching Legion and the way the film just ends, it almost felt anticlimactic to me. And I think it's just because I was so used to seeing the exorcism scene added in there, as well as the Father Morning character. Not having that character there, not having Jason Miller in it, and just felt like there was something missing to me, and that's just because I had seen the theatrical cut prior. But both films are fantastic. I have to say I love the theatrical cut more, but the director's cut of the film is William Peter Blatty's vision. Have to completely respect it. They're both great. The documentary on this is fantastic, as is the presentation of both films. I definitely recommend picking this up if you get a chance to, if you're a fan of this film. Cannot say enough great things about The Exorcist 3. And so this film, of course, gets 5 skulls. So thanks everyone for taking the time to watch this video. Of course, it took me a long time to do my Exorcist 3 / Legion review. Such an amazing horror film. Cannot say enough great things about it. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch this video and being patient with me. Again, rest in peace to William Peter Blatty, who passed away. Heart goes out to his friends and family. And what an amazing, not only The Exorcist, but The Exorcist 3 and his books, Exorcist and Legion. Thank you so much for your contributions to the arts. And I'm curious what everybody else thinks about Exorcist 3. If you've picked up the Scream Factory release and had the honor of seeing both the original cut and the director's cut of the film, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Would love to hear from everyone. And as always, thanks so much for watching Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone, and please stay tuned for the next part of this series, where I will be talking about Exorcist Dominion, which was the first cut of the 4th film in the franchise. So I'm really looking forward to that, and hope you guys are as well. Take it easy. Stay scared.